The Ultimatum. The message appeared simultaneously on every screen across Earth at precisely 3:17 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Television broadcasts, computer monitors, digital billboards, smartphones, all displayed the same stark text in local languages. Earth must be CALID-OFF MMEDAAKLI. Your species PRESENTs and UNPRECDENTD 380 to cosmic stability. This is not an EGOTIABLE. Dr. Elena Reyes was in the middle of a lecture on theoretical xenolinguistics at MIT when her presentation slide vanished, replaced by the ominous message. The auditorium fell silent before erupting into confused murmurs. Elena stared at the screen, her academic skepticism warring with primitive fear. After 15 years of searching for extraterrestrial signals, first contact had arrived, as a threat. "Everyone stay calm," she said automatically, though her own heart hammered against her ribs. This is likely an elaborate hack. But deep down, she knew, this was no hack. Within hours, astronomical observatories worldwide confirmed the presence of massive objects materializing at the edge of the solar system. 17 identical spacecraft, each roughly the size of Earth's moon, had appeared in a perfect spherical formation around the solar system. They had somehow bypassed all detection systems until choosing to reveal themselves. The Pentagon called Elena that evening. "Dr. Reyes, we need you at Cheyenne Mountain immediately," said General Harrington, his voice unusually strained. "A military transport is already en route to your location." 24 hours later, Elena found herself in a hastily assembled command center deep within the mountain complex. Screens displayed the alien vessels, stock markets in free fall, and civil unrest spreading across major cities. World leaders were scheduled for an emergency UN session, though nobody really knew what to say to an adversary with technology so advanced it could simultaneously hack every screen on the planet. "The message contains embedded data," said Dr. Weijian, head of SETI's cryptography division. "It's not just text. There are complex mathematical sequences buried in the transmission signal." Elena bent over the data, her expertise in theoretical alien communication patterns finally finding practical application. "These aren't just mathematical constants," she said after several hours of analysis. "They're establishing a communication protocol. There's more they want to tell us." General Harrington leaned over her shoulder, his face haggard from lack of sleep. "Can you respond using the same method?" "I think so," Elena said. "But I'll need time to formulate a proper reply." "Time is something we may not have, Doctor." Outside the secure facility, society teetered on the edge of collapse. Religious groups proclaimed everything from the end times to the arrival of cosmic saviors. Scientists debated what technology could create such massive ships. Conspiracy theorists had their day in the sun. And everywhere, people asked the same questions. Why us? Why now? 3 days after the initial message, Elena made a breakthrough. "The aliens aren't just talking about containment," she told the crisis team. "Look at these patterns in the signal harmonics. There's hesitation in their syntax, almost reluctance. This ultimatum wasn't their first choice." "You're anthropomorphizing an alien species," countered Dr. Livingston, a senior Pentagon analyst. "No," Elena insisted. "Communication always reveals intent, regardless of species. They're hiding something from us." Working through the night, Elena crafted a response using the same mathematical underpinnings of the alien message. It was simple but direct. "We seek understanding. We request dialogue." The reply came within minutes, far too quickly for the vast distances involved. Whatever these beings were, they weren't waiting light hours away. They were monitoring Earth actively. Preparation for direct key on take authorized. One representative, Wilel Explain. The landing site was chosen carefully. A remote airfield in Iceland, far from major population centers. Elena stood alongside General Harrington and UN Secretary General Okafor, watching as a small craft separated from one of the massive vessels and descended through Earth's atmosphere with impossible grace. The landing craft resembled a teardrop of liquid metal, its surface shifting with subtle iridescence. No visible propulsion system, no heat signature, no sound. Physics as humans understood it seemed merely optional for these visitors. A seam appeared in the craft's side, and a figure emerged. The alien was roughly humanoid but clearly not human. Standing about 7 feet tall, its body was slender with elongated limbs. Its skin had a silvery blue sheen that seemed to subtly shift with its movements. The head featured no visible nose or ears, just large, multifaceted eyes that reflected light like opals, and a small mouth-like opening. "I am Nexus speaker for the Galactic Accord," the alien said, its voice sounding directly in Alina's mind without passing through her ears. "I come to explain why Earth terrifies the cosmos." Secretary General Okafor stepped forward with remarkable composure. "We welcome you to Earth and seek to understand your ultimatum." The alien's gaze swept over the small human delegation. "Your species has been observed since its emergence. Until recently, you were categorized as a standard developing civilization. That assessment has changed." "What changed?" Alina asked, unable to contain her curiosity. "You did," Nexus speaker responded, turning those opalescent eyes toward her. "Human neural patterns have begun generating unique space-time resonances detectable across vast distances. No other species in our records has exhibited this phenomenon." General Harrington's posture stiffened. "Are you saying our thoughts are somehow dangerous?" "Not the thoughts themselves," the alien clarified, "but what they may attract." Over the next hour, Nexus speaker revealed a reality more terrifying than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was governed by the Galactic Accord, a coalition of over 300 intelligent species who maintained cosmic stability. For millennia, they had fought a losing war against something they called the Void Entity, an ancient cosmic predator that consumed civilizations drawn to its influence. "Your neural patterns create ripples in what we term the cosmic substrate," Nexus speaker explained. "These ripples act as a beacon that the Void Entity can detect. Earth has begun to shine in the darkness." Alina felt her world tilting. "So this quarantine isn't punishment, it's protection." "Partially," the alien admitted. "The Accord is divided on how to address the human question. Some factions advocate for your immediate elimination to safeguard other civilizations. Others see potential value in your unique neural architecture." "Value? For what purpose?" Secretary General Okafor asked. The alien's multifaceted eyes shifted color slightly. "The Void Entity has consumed 17 civilizations in the past millennium. Our defensive measures merely slow its advance. Some theorize that human consciousness patterns might be incomprehensible to it, perhaps even capable of disrupting its cognition. So we're bait." General Harrington's hand instinctively moved toward the sidearm he wasn't permitted to bring to this meeting. "No," Nexus speaker corrected. "You are an unexpected variable. The containment barrier being established around your solar system serves 2 functions: to shield your neural emanations from detection, and to protect you from both the Void Entity and those Accord factions who would rather eliminate the risk you represent." Alina suddenly understood with perfect clarity. "You're not just quarantining us. You're hiding us." The alien inclined its head in what might have been acknowledgement. "For now. But the Accord Council demands proof that preserving humanity offers more benefit than risk." "What kind of proof?" Alina asked. "Demonstrate why your species deserves preservation," Nexus speaker said. "Show us what makes human consciousness unique, what creates these patterns that both frighten and intrigue us. You have 30 Earth days before the Council votes on your fate." As Alina processed this revelation, she couldn't shake a strange sense of recognition. The alien's description of human thought patterns creating ripples in reality matched theories she developed years ago about consciousness acting as a quantum observer, theories dismissed by her colleagues as too speculative. "There's something you're still not telling us," she said, studying the alien's unreadable features. something about why human minds are different. Nexus speaker's mouth-like opening twitched in what might have been discomfort. Your species evolved along an unusual trajectory, while other intelligent beings developed through collective, consensus-based thinking. Humans remained stubbornly individualistic. Your neural architecture prioritizes unpredictable connections over efficiency. You make intuitive leaps that follow no logical progression. This chaotic cognition is both your greatest vulnerability and potentially your greatest strength. As the alien delegation departed, Alina stood watching the craft ascend silently into the darkening sky. A terrible realization formed in her mind. Earth wasn't being quarantined solely because humans were dangerous. Earth was being hidden because something in the dark vastness of space had already noticed humanity's unique mental signature and had begun turning its attention toward Earth. The revelation. The barrier came 3 days later. It started as a faint shimmer high in the atmosphere, easily mistaken for unusual aurora activity. Within hours, it had solidified into a pearlescent dome, extending far beyond Earth's atmosphere, a perfect sphere encasing the entire solar system. The first casualties were satellites attempting to adjust their orbits. As they touched the barrier, they simply vanished. No explosion, no debris, just electronic silence. The International Space Station, fortunately orbiting well within the barrier's perimeter, reported seeing the strange glows spreading outward like ripples in a pond. "We appear to be inside a bubble," Commander Petrov reported from the ISS. "It extends beyond our visual range, but we can see it shimmering against the backdrop of stars." The effects rippled quickly through modern infrastructure. GPS signals became unreliable, causing shipping lanes to become confused. Satellite phones stopped working in remote areas. Weather forecasting became guesswork without full satellite coverage. Internet services slowed as space-based communications faltered. In a hastily converted laboratory beneath the Pentagon, Alina worked alongside a hand-picked team of scientists to understand the barrier. Dr. Marcus Chen, a brilliant quantum physicist whose unconventional research had been dismissed by his peers, had a breakthrough on their 5th day of non-stop analysis. "This isn't just a physical barrier," he explained, displaying his findings on the main screen. "Its energy patterns are bifurcated, working in 2 directions simultaneously." "Meaning what?" asked General Harrington, who had barely slept since first contact. "It's not just keeping us in," Alina realized, studying the data. "It's keeping something else out." Marcus nodded. "Exactly. The energy flux is significantly stronger on the outer surface. This isn't primarily containment, it's protection." "Protection from what?" "This void entity." Harrington's skepticism was evident. "Perhaps," Marcus said. "But look at this." He pulled up another screen showing energy fluctuations at the barrier's edge. "Something is already testing it, probing for weaknesses." Outside their secure facility, the world balanced on a knife edge between panic and adaptation. 30 days to prove humanity's worth to an alien coalition, while sealed inside a cosmic snow globe with rapidly degrading infrastructure. Some nations had already begun rationing resources. Others threatened military responses despite the obvious futility. Alina made a decision. She needed to communicate directly with Nexus Speaker again. Using the protocol they'd established, she sent a focused message toward the nearest Accord vessel monitoring Earth from just outside the barrier. The response was immediate. A small alien craft would breach the barrier temporarily to retrieve her for consultation. "This is incredibly risky," General Harrington warned as they stood on the landing pad. "We need you here." "You need answers more," Alina countered. "And I don't think they're telling us everything." The alien craft that collected her was similar to the one she'd seen before, but smaller. Inside, she found not Nexus Speaker, but a different alien entity, its form more angular, its skin a deeper blue. "I am Meridian," it introduced itself directly into her mind. "Nexus Speaker represents the Accord's official position. I represent a faction that believes humanity deserves more than containment." The craft passed through the barrier with a brief flash of energy, then accelerated toward one of the massive Accord vessels. As they approached, Alina gasped. The ship was even more enormous than telescopes had suggested, an intricate structure of impossible geometries that seemed to fold into dimensions human eyes couldn't properly process. Inside, Meridian led her through corridors that shifted and realigned as they walked. "What you are about to see is restricted knowledge," the alien told her. "Sharing it violates Accord protocols, but some of us believe time is running short." They entered a vast chamber dominated by a three-dimensional projection of the galaxy. Scattered throughout were pulsing red voids, areas of complete emptiness amid the stellar tapestry. "Dead zones," Meridian explained. 17 civilizations consumed by the void entity. "Notice the pattern." Elena studied the map, her analytical mind quickly identifying the progression. "It's moving methodically through the galactic arm, getting closer to Earth's position." "Yes, and accelerating. The Accord has contained it temporarily through dimensional barriers similar to the one around your solar system, but each time, it eventually breaks through. Our most recent models suggest it will reach Earth's sector within 50 years, unless something changes." "What is it exactly, this void entity?" Meridian's mental voice grew somber. "We don't know its true nature. It leaves nothing to study. But we believe it feeds on consciousness itself, particularly organized consciousness as expressed through civilization. Like a predator attracted to concentrations of its prey," Elena murmured. "Precisely. But your species' neural patterns suggest a potential we've never encountered before. Human minds create quantum entanglement effects at the consciousness level, something we believe theoretically impossible." Elena remembered her own rejected research. Quantum consciousness. The idea that human awareness creates observer effects at the quantum level. "More than that," Meridian corrected. "Your consciousness creates coherent patterns across space-time itself. Patterns that might disrupt the void entity's cognitive processes. So we're not just potential prey," Elena realized. "We might be a weapon." Meridian's angular features shifted in what might have been agreement. "That is what my faction believes. But the dominant Accord position remains that you are too dangerous to preserve, that your neural emanations will simply attract the void entity more quickly. And that's why they want proof of our worth in 30 days, Elena said. "But how do we prove something we barely understand ourselves?" Meridian moved closer. "I will share restricted technology with you. Tools to measure and amplify the unique aspects of human consciousness. But you must use them carefully. If the Council discovers this breach, both our species will suffer consequences." When Elena returned to Earth, she carried knowledge and technology that would change humanity's understanding of consciousness forever. Working with Marcus and a carefully selected team, they began mapping the quantum effects of human thought patterns. What they discovered was astonishing. "It's like each human mind creates its own reality field," Marcus explained during their report to world leaders. "These fields interact in complex ways, creating larger patterns that extend beyond normal spacetime. And these patterns are somehow threatening to this void entity," asked the president of the African Union. "Not threatening," Elena clarified. "Incomprehensible. Everything we've learned suggests the void entity processes reality linearly. It expects cause to follow effect in predictable sequences. Human consciousness jumps tracks, makes connections that follow no logical progression. Our chaos is our strength," Marcus added. As the deadline approached, Elena proposed a daring plan, Operation Resonance. Using the alien technology provided by Meridian, they would create a synchronized consciousness event, billions of humans focusing their attention simultaneously on solving the same complex problem. The resulting quantum pattern would be detectable across the galaxy. "It's too dangerous," General Harrington argued. "We'd be announcing our presence to this void entity." "We're already detected," Elena countered. "This is our chance to show both the Accord and the void entity what humanity can do." The plan required unprecedented global cooperation. A single mathematical problem would be presented simultaneously to every human capable of focusing on it. The problem was deceptively simple, but contained elements requiring intuitive leaps rather than linear logic. Scientists, artists, children, elders, all would contribute their unique cognitive processes to the experiment. On the 30th day, as the Accord Council gathered to vote on humanity's fate, Operation Resonance began. 8 billion human minds focused on the same problem, creating a coherent quantum pattern that rippled through space-time itself. At the barrier's edge, the monitoring Accord vessels detected an energy signature unlike anything in their records, a complex, self-reinforcing pattern that somehow existed simultaneously across multiple points in space-time. It wasn't just consciousness. It was consciousness that rewrote the rules of reality through sheer collective will. On the Accord Council's vast chamber, alarms sounded as sensors detected the human consciousness wave propagating despite the barrier's containment. Nexus Speaker and the conservative faction demanded immediate action to neutralize the human threat. But before they could vote, something unprecedented occurred. The void entity, still light years distant, but somehow aware of the experiment, reacted. For the first time in recorded history, it retreated from its methodical advance. The chaotic, unpredictable patterns of human consciousness had created something it could neither consume nor comprehend. Meridian's faction immediately called for a reassessment. The humans have demonstrated their value, they argued. Their consciousness patterns are the first defense that has ever caused the void entity to retreat. After heated debate, the Accord Council reached a compromise. Earth would remain contained, but the barrier would be modified to allow controlled human expansion within the solar system. The Accord would establish formal relations with humanity, sharing knowledge in exchange for continued study of human consciousness patterns. Helena stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Human Accord Embassy, watching Earth rotate serenely below. Beside her stood Meridian, now officially appointed as liaison between humans and the Galactic Accord. "Your species still faces many challenges," the alien observed. "Some in the Accord remain convinced you are too unpredictable to trust fully." "Unpredictability is our nature," Helena replied. "It's what makes us human." "And perhaps," Meridian added, "what makes you essential to the galaxy's survival." As they spoke, scientists on Earth continued mapping the quantum effects of human thought. Artists explored new ways to express consciousness through creation, and children asked questions that had never been asked before. Each unique human mind added its voice to the cosmic conversation, creating ripples in reality that would eventually reach the farthest corners of the universe. The stars were no longer just distant points of light. They were destinations, and humanity, with all its chaotic, beautiful unpredictability, had taken its first step onto a much larger stage. The barrier that had been meant to contain them would instead become the launching point for humanity's greatest journey, not just to the stars, but into the very nature of consciousness itself.